Here we are. So I have created this particular folder, ChatGTP tab. Make sure to create that folder, and inside that we don't have anything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the starter file. So come here in the browser, come to the blockchain coder. Here you will find the source code of all the project we have built on our channel. So come back here, go to the source code section and simply scroll all the way down. So these are the project we have already built, and I believe that you guys have built some of the project. If you haven't, have a look at this. So you can simply click on this recent and you will have this filter. Click on that and here you will get the final code or you will get the starter file. So simply click on the starter file and you have to get all of this. Simply copy that one and come back in your VS Code, open up your terminal and type git clone and paste the string and give this dot. So this will clone the repository in the same folder. It's not going to create a new folder. So hit enter and it will simply copy the entire starter file. And here we have the starter file, and the reason why I'm providing this starter file to all of you guys because many of you have installed the wrong package version, and because of that the applications are not working. So that's why I decided to give you the entire folder and file structure so you guys can start working straight away. But I would suggest you to focus the structure we follow in all the project. So the structure I have followed for the entire component, the structure which I have followed for the project, that's all you have to focus. Try to understand that one. Close this one. Let's have a look on what you will get in the starter file. So just delete this one. Then we have this, expand this. We have the component. Inside that we have this 3 component for the 3 pages. We have the authentication. Inside that we have this index, login and sign up. Then we have the chat. Inside that we have all of this component which we're going to code together. Then we have the home. We're going to build this one, and this one is going to be our landing page, pricing, service and testimonial. So this is the entire component we have. Now we have the context. So we have the context and we have the index. Now we have the contract. Inside that we have nothing. We're going to write it together. Close that one. We have the public. We have the pages. Inside that we have the 3 pages we're going to build. So this is the app.js which we have to configure. Then we have the chat, index and then login. Then we have the public, and inside that you will get some important assets which you have to keep it as it is. If you know that, then you can do the modification. Otherwise I'll just tell you to leave it as it is. So we have this asset folder. In that you will have given all the assets. So you can see this is the user images. This is the asset folder. In that you will have all the CSS, all the fonts, all the images. So I would recommend you don't need to do any changes in here. So inside this assets, and the CSS files are provided to you in the normal CSS and both in the SAS CSS. So it's totally up to you that whichever you want to use it, but just follow along with me, everything will make sense. So we have the base file, then we have the components, we have the layouts. So here you can see all the components, looks pretty good. And we have the main CSS file, we have the vendor, and these are the compressed version we are using. I have already compressed for all of you guys, so you can simply import it. This is the font, this is the images. So all the images we are using in this project, that's all it here. This is the home one, this is the blog. Looks good. Close this one, and that looks good. And here we have the entire JavaScript. So I have imported a couple of libraries which we are using as a slider, as an animation. So that's what you will find here. So we have this one, custom, error, slider, sticky, all of this libraries we have used. So in React, what happened? We have this libraries. You can use it with the help of npm packages, or you can use the npm packages to bring the certain functionality, but I would like to go with the library which I have. So this is the entire library, and here we have the entire CSV file which is given to all of you. So this is the authentication, characters, we have the contact, feature, home, price, service, social, and we have all of this. So again, don't need to do anything in that, just leave it as it is. So that's the public folder we have, and here we have the script which we're going to write it together. Then we have the server file. So in that we're going to build a server, the backend server, which going to trigger our AI. You can see these are the packages we are using, and make sure to install the exact version. If you do any modification in here, your application might not work. But I'm going to use this particular version because right now at the time of recording, these packages are most stable one. Close this one, and we have nothing in here in the server.js. Then we have the style. Inside that we have the same asset folder which I have simply copied in here. You can see the same files we have, and here we have the global CSS. In that we go to write the entire code. or all the imports. So this is the style, this is the test file. Again, ignore this file because this will be generated by Hardhat. And we have this utils. Inside that we have this API feature, and here we're going to build some most common functionality for our application. So that's the structure. Then we have the git, then we have the Hardhat config file. Don't need to do anything, and we're not going to configure and deploy to any test network. We're going to do it on our localhost. We have the next.js, we have the package.json file. So these are the packages we are using. Make sure to use the exact version no matter when you are watching this video. And I want to suggest one thing, that make sure to use the exact Hardhat version, because right now Hardhat updated their version, and if you use the latest one, it's not going to work. It will create a problem at the time of deployment. What I have noticed that some of you have the Hardhat installed globally, and that global installation which you have done in your computer, it's in the upgraded version. So make sure to remove that updated version and use this particular one. Okay, so check that whether the Hardhat install in your computer as a global one or as a dev dependency. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Close this one, and now here we have some important links which you can follow, and that looks pretty good. So we have this one. I will simply remove this to ChatGPT, and looks good. This is the final starter file, final code, and close that one. Now we have to install the dependency. So open up your, come back here in the server. So first we have to install the dependency. So simply open up your terminal, and we have to install npm I, or you can type npm install, both will work fine, and it will install all the packages. So you can see that I have no issues. If you get any issues while installing the packages, make sure to check that which one is causing the issue and which packages are installed globally. So come here, we have installed the packages. Simply clear the terminal. Now we have to get into the server folder, cd server, and inside that we have to install the packages. So come back here, we have all of these libraries which we are using. So simply install that npm I, and that will install very quickly. So we have installed the packages and everything is looking good. We have no issues. Now what we can do is we can simply get out of this folder. Here we are, and now let's start the application. npm run dev, and simply come here, click on this, and here you can see our application is working fine. So we have no issues and everything's looking pretty good. So we are done with that basic setups and all the installation. Now we can start writing some global code. So close this one, come back here in the css file, and now we have to import all the files, all the css file. So let's do that. So we're going to use this import URL, and we have to get into the asset folder which we have in the same css folder, and from there we can take all this css file one by one. So let me do it very quickly. Asset css vendor, and then we'll take the bootstrap, then we'll take the asset css vendor, then we'll take the icons, then we'll take the base remix, then we'll take this asset css vendor, we have swiper bundle mini.js, then we have the css vendor os, and the last one is going to be our main css file. So this is all the import we have done for the css. Again, you can use the SAS version, both the version is given to all of you guys, but I will go with the normal css one. So now let's write the utility classes which we will use in the application. So let's build that. So the first one, we have this icon custom, and inside that we have to assign the font size 1.5 RAM, and we have to assign this particular primary color which we are using in our application. So this is the custom icon. Then we have to take this mobile custom menu, and inside that we'll take this font size to 1.5, and we'll take the color to be the second one. Now come here, we'll take this icon size. Inside that we'll take the font size 1.5, then we'll add the container classes as a utility model. Then we'll take this chat container, we'll take flex 1, and we'll take margin left 1 RAM, display flex direction column, we'll have a gap 10 pixels, we'll have a padding bottom 150 pixels, come down, we'll take the wrapper, then we'll say width is going to be 100%, padding is going to be 15 pixels, chat width is going to be 100%, max width 1 1280 pixels. Then we have margin auto. Then we have this display flex, flex direction row, align item flex start, gap 10 pixels, and this is the entire chat. Now come here, we'll have to target the profile. Width is going to be 36 pixels, height is going to be 36 pixels. We'll take the border radius 5 pixels, and background is going to be our second primary color, the orange. And then we'll say display flex, justify content center, align item center. So this is the entire profile. Now come here, well, we'll target the AI profile, and inside that we'll take a background to be our third primary color, primary color. We'll take the profile image, and we have to say width is going to be 60% and height is going to be 60%. We'll take the object fit to be contain, and come down here, we have to target the message. Inside that we'll take flex 1, color, we have our primary color, then we have the white space pre-wrap, and then we'll have the scroll bar width none, and we'll have our WebKit, so MS overflow style none, and that looks pretty good. So this is the message CSS classes. Now we can come down, we'll target our new space, and we have to build a space class. So we'll say padding 0 and 1 RAM. So that's the entire CSS we have written. So all the import of our CSS file. Again, the model we're going to follow building in our application is going to be like a Tailwind CSS model, but instead of using Tailwind, we are using some custom library like Bootstrap, Icon, Swiper, or EOS. Okay, or we have built our own custom CSS classes, because I want to teach you everything that how you can build your own classes and use it as a Tailwind. Here we have the custom one. So icon, this is the chat, wrapper, chat, profile, AI, and messages, and new space. So this is the entire global CSS file we have, and that's the only thing we have to do in here. So close this one. Now we can close this one, and now we can come back in the contract and we can start writing our contract. So if you come back to the application, you can see every single thing is working fine, and here we got our color back in our application. So it's dark. If you look at the inspect element, there is no issue we have in our search console, means every single thing is looking absolutely fine. And now we can start working our contract. Click on this, click on, and let's build the contract for our application. So first we have to take the license identifier. So we'll say license identifier is going to be an unlicensed. Then we'll take the sorority version, it will be 8.9. then we have to take the contract. Then we have to import the library, Open Zeppelin library. So we'll have this Open Zeppelin, and we have to get the contract. Inside the contract we have the token. Inside that we have the ERC 721, and we have to get our ERC 721 contract. So this is the import we have done. Click on this, come back to the node module. Inside that you will find the Open Zeppelin. If you click on that, inside that you will find this, let's say, token, and inside that you will have this all contract, and this is the contract we are using. So this is the ERC 721, and inside that we have this contract ERC 721, and this is the entire contract. You can simply copy and use it in the contract straight away, but that's not the good approach. Or you can build your own, but we're going to use this Open Zeppelin, which is the contract is tested and audited very well. So this is the contract we are using. Simply close that one, and now we can start working on it. So come here, and we have to take the contract, and we have to call it GPT membership. We have to inherit the Open Zeppelin ERC 721. Inside that we have to take a couple of variables. So we have to take the address, public, honor. Then we have to take the UNT 256 public, membership types. Then we'll take the UNT variable public, we'll take this total membership. Then we'll take a string, and it will contain the name. You can give your name, but this one is the optional value. I'll say my contract, and I'll say the authors, just to let everyone know that this is the contract I have built. So now we'll take a struct, and in that we have to define all the property we want to store in our contract about the membership. So let's do that. So first we'll take this unt variable, which is going to be the id of a NFT. Then we'll have the sing name, then we'll have a cost, and at the end we'll take the date, that when this particular, so when the membership started. So that's looks the entire struct for the membership. Now we can build the struct for the user membership. Inside that we'll take the id, then we'll take the membership id for the user, which he or she will take. Then we'll take this address, and we have to keep the address of the user. And then we have to keep the cost, that how much he has paid. Then we'll take the expiry date. So these are the important we have, and I'm getting this warning, so I know why I'm getting that one. So let's take the mapping, and inside that we have to take the address, and we have to map the user. So user membership, and it will be public, it will be user membership. We'll take another mapping. Inside that we'll have to map the unt membership, and we'll say membership. We'll take another mapping, it will take the unt, and we have to map to another mapping, and inside that we have to map the address, and it's going to return the boolean. So it will tell us whether he has bought or not the membership. So these are the three mapping we have. Now we have to take the fourth one. We'll say mapping, and it will take the unt, and it's going to return a nested mapping. So we'll take this unt, and here we have to return the public membership taken. So this will generally return the address of the user. Then we'll take another one, and we'll say unt 256. We have to take this unt, and it's gonna return the array. We'll say membership taken. So the first one is membership. So this one is, you can see it's a membership taken, and this one is memberships taken. So there is a multiple address will be there, but there is a single one. So this is the entire mapping we have, and I'm getting this warning. So we can simply provide this double quotes, and that will fix the issue. So that's the membership struct, user struct, and we have all the mappings. Looks pretty good. Now we can start working on other part of our contract. So let's come here, let's take a modifier, and here I want to restrict certain function only to be called by the owner, like a withdrawal function. So let's take a only owner. Inside that we have to check for a condition. So we'll say that message.sender equal to owner, otherwise we have to throw the error message. But if he's the owner, then we have to continue further. Let's provide this message to the user, only owner can call this function. So this is the modifier we have. Now we have to simply build the constructor, because in that constructor we have to pass the name and the symbol of our NFT. So let's come here. Inside that we'll take a string, we'll take a name of our NFT, and we have to take the symbol, and that's what we have to update. So here we're going to take the inherit the like ERC721, and we have to simply pass the data, name and the symbol. And in that we have to say owner is equal to the message.sender, means whoever will deploy the contract, he or she is the owner. So that's our constructor is ready. So looks pretty good. Now we have to write the very first function, which is for the listing membership. So this function will allow the owner of the contract to list the membership. So in that we have to pass a couple of things, like we have to pass a like memory, we'll pass the name, we'll pass the cost, and we have to pass the expiry date, means date, not expiry date, when this starting date. It will be public only owner, and inside that we have to build the logic. So we'll say take this first, we have to increase the membership count. So we'll take this membership taken, we have to say, so come here, what is this? It's called membership type, sorry, not membership, simply replace that one, membership types, and we have to increase that because it's a unt variable. So that's one we are targeting, and we'll say membership types and increase that value. Then we'll take this membership, and in that we have to assign the membership type, means the ID, and we have to simply fill out the data in our membership struct. So first we have to provide the ID, that membership, then we provide the name, then we provide the cost, and then we provide the date. So these are the 4 information we are providing in our membership. and this is enough to create the membership. So this is the listing function we have done. Now we have to create a mint which user will call. In that we have to take couple of information. We have to take the unt variable, which is going to be the membership id which user wants to take. Then we will take his address. Then we will take the like expiry date, and it will be public, payable, and inside that we have to build the logic. And this time we have made this particular function as a payable because there is a fund transfer. Hope you guys know that what are these keywords stand for. If you don't know, make sure to watch the complete playlist of Sorty. In that I have explained every single thing about each one of this keyword. Now let's build the logic. So first we have to check for a condition that whatever the id, whatever the membership user is taking, it should be not equal to 0 because our membership start with 1. And then you can throw the error message, but I just want to keep it like it. Then we'll check for one more condition that membership should be less than the membership type. Okay, because this particular variable will increase after every membership will created by the owner. So this is the one condition. Then we have to check for the fund. So we'll say message.value should be greater or equal to the membership, and we have to simply pass the id of the membership, and we have to check for the cost. So at least he has to provide the exact amount, otherwise we have to throw the error message that insufficient balance. So these are the 3 checks we are doing. Come here. Now we have to take this total membership and we have to increase that, because so if the user has passed all these 3 conditions, means he's ready to purchase the membership. So we have to increase this total member user, and that's the id we're going to use it. So we'll take the user membership array, and then we have to simply pass the user, and we have to build the user membership struct. So we have to pass the id, we have to pass the membership id and the user id, address, and we'll pass the membership, and we'll pass the id and the cost, and we'll pass the expiry date. So these are the information we are keeping in the user struct. Hope so far things are making clear to all of you guys. Now come here. We're going to take this bot variable which we have in the mapping, and we have to simply update that. In that we're going to pass this membership id, and we have to connect with the message.sender to true, means the user is calling the function bought that membership. Then we'll take this membership taken. Inside that we have to pass the membership id, and we have to simply push that to our total membership. Okay, so that's the one thing. And come here, we have to do one more thing. So we'll take a membership taken, and we have to simply take the membership id, and we have to simply pass the total membership, and we have to send this message.sender. Okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind that there is a call membership and there is a memberships, so don't be confused in that. So we are simply updating all this information, and I'm getting this particular warning. So let's try to have a look. So let's come here, and here is the 2 difference. You can see here is the nested mapping. We are passing the address, and it's called, and here we have the array of unt. So this one is called membership, not membership. Okay, membership taken. So and the next one called the membership. Okay, so here I have to do the changes. Simply remove. So simply come here, simply remove this particular s. So if you remove the s, it will work fine. And now we are simply, so this one is memberships, and this one is membership with s. So that's the changes you have to do. Looks pretty good. Now we can simply come here, and we have to call our save mint function, and we have to pass the sender and the id we have created for this particular user, total membership. So that's the entire mint function we have here in our contract, which will allow the user to take the memberships and update all the data into our contract. So it looks pretty good. I'm really good with that. Now come here. Now we have to build a couple of more function for retrieving the data from our contract. So let's come here, let's build a function called get membership, and this will give us the membership of the contract. So we'll take a function get memberships taken. So this will give us what are the memberships as taken. Then we'll build a function called withdraw, and this function can only be called by the owner. And now we have this get user membership. So in that we'll have the data from the members. So this function will allow us to get the information about the members. So these are the four functions we have to build. So let's come here. Let's start with the get memberships. So first what we have to do is we can come here. Let's take a couple of data. We'll take a uint variable. It will be public, view, return, and we have to simply return the entire membership. So we'll pass the entire struct and we'll simply return that one membership, and we're going to simply pass the ID. So we'll say membership ID and simply copy and paste here. So that's way, and that way we can easily able to return that particular membership based on the ID. So this is the first function for get memberships. Now looks pretty good. Now we can start working on the get memberships taken. We'll take a uint variable and it will take the membership ID, view, return, and it's going to return the uint memory. And we'll simply come here, we'll take this return, we'll target the memberships taken, and that we have to simply pass the membership ID and it will return the ID of that particular memberships. Okay, looks pretty good. Now we'll take a public honor, because only honor can withdraw the fund from the contract, and we can take this balance boolean success, and we have to simply call honor.call. We have to pass the value address, and we'll say this dot balance means the contract, and we can call this function. So it will transfer the fund to the honor address, and then we have to simply return this success. Looks good. So this is the withdrawal function. Now we have to work on this get user memberships. So in that we need the address of the user. It will be public, view, and we have to return the entire struct of the user. So we'll take this user membership memory and we have to simply return this. So we'll take this return user memberships and we have to pass the address of the user. So this will return the data of the user. So here I'm getting this warning. Okay, provide this one, and looks pretty good. And this is the entire smart contract. So first we are declaring our Solidity version, then we are importing our OpenZeppelin contract, then we are taking the straight variable. This is the optional one. We have this two struct for the membership and for the user struct. Then we have all of this mapping. Then we have then we have the modifier, then constructor, and we have the listing, mint, get memberships taken, then we have withdraw and get user membership. So this is the entire smart contract we have written. So that's the only thing we have to cover in the smart contract. Come here, close this one, and now we have to write the script for the deployment of the contract. So come back here in the script and we have to build the script. So first we have to take the hard hat. So we'll take this const hre, and this coming from the hard hat. So we got our hard hat. Then we can come here, we'll take this async functions and then we'll call main. So first we have to take this variable called const name is going to be the name of our NFT. Then we'll take a we'll take the symbol and it will say GPT. Now we'll take this const, we'll call GPT memberships. We'll say await, we have to call this HR, we'll call the ether package, and on that we have to call this particular method get contract factory, and in that we have to pass the name of our contract. So this is the name. So if you come back here in the contract, so this is what we have called. Simply copy that one, come here and paste here. Now come here, we'll take another variable, we'll say GPT with a small, and we'll say membership await, and we'll call this GPT membership, and on that we have to call this deploy, and in that we have to simply pass the name and the symbol because our contract need in that constructor. So we'll pass the name, make sure to follow the exact order. Okay, name and the symbol. Then we have to simply call await get membership dot deployed, and this will deploy our contract. Looks pretty good, no issue we have so far. And that's what you can see here we are passing in our constructor. So we are calling this deploy. Now we have to get the address. So we'll say console.log, we'll say GPT memberships, and the address is available in this GTP membership dot address. So that's the only thing we have to do. Now we have to simply call this function. So come main, we have to catch if anything goes wrong. Inside that we'll simply throw an error message. it's need a callback, so we'll say console.log the entire error object, and we have to simply stop after the deployment of the contract completed. So we'll say process.exist, and we have this particular value exit code to 1. So that's the entire deploy script we have written. So hope things are looking good to all of you guys. And now we can simply start deploying and testing our contract. So come here in the package, and again I'm telling you that use this exact version. If you get any error, make sure to check that whether you have installed the hard hat globally in your computer. If you have installed globally, then check the version of it. If it's different version, then it's not going to work. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Looks good to me, everything is fine. Close this one, and now we can start deploy the contract. So we have done with this. Just have a look. We are calling this one and calling this function. Close this one, come here, close this one, and simply open up your terminal. And now we have to simply run the deploy script. So first we have to do is we have to split our terminal and we have to run our local blockchain. So we'll type npx hardhat node, and this will give you 20+ account which you can use to test the contract. So by default it will take the very first account. So this is the first account it will take for the deployment of the contract, in my case or in your case as well. And each account has 10,000 ether, which you can simply import with the help of private key, which I have covered tons of time in your MetaMask, and you can start testing your contract locally. So this is the contract you're going to use. Now we have to write the script for deploying the contract to the localhost. So let me find out. So just now I did it. So this is the script which you have to type: npx hardhat run network, npx hardhat run network localhost script deployed, and this will deploy your contract to the localhost. So make sure to type exactly the same and hit enter. First it will compile your contract, and then it will give you the address of the contract which got deployed. So this is the address. Simply copy that one, and once you deploy the contract successfully, it will generate the 2-file artifact and the cache. If you open the artifact, inside that you will have this 5 folders, the folders contract. Inside that you will have the ABI of the contract. So this is the ABI. Simply drag and drop here in the context, because this ABI will allow us to make the transaction of the NFTs and allowing us to communicate with our contract. So this is what you have to do now. This is the cache, this is the artifact. Don't need to worry about that because we got our ABI. Now we can do one thing. We can simply clear our terminal, or we can type npm run dev. It will start our application to localhost 3000, and you can see we have no issues so far. Everything's working absolutely fine. Now simply close this one, and now we can start working on it in our context. So simply come here, simply paste the address which we have copy. So this is our contract address, and now we can simply close that one and come here in the contract. So this looks pretty good. We have no issues so far, and here we are in the context. Now come back to the pages, and here we have to do a little bit configuration. So what we can do is, first we have to import the head tag, because we have to show some information in our head tag like the icons and all of the things. So come here. So we have imported our head tag, next.js head tag. Close this one and come here in the context, and come here in the context file, and first build the logic. First import the ABI and export the address and the ABI from here. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to simply import our ABI, which is coming from our same directory, the context folder ./ABI. Then we'll simply export the address of the contract. Then we have to import the ABI of our contract .ABI. So that's the only thing we have to do here. Looks good. Close this one, and we can simply close this one. Come here and let's get into the index, and here we have to build the entire logic for communicating with our smart contract and connection with the blockchains. All of things we're going to do here. So let's do that. So first we have to import couple of things from React. So let's do that. We'll say import React. We have to import the use effect, use state, create context, and use context. Then we'll come down. We have to import the ether package. Once we're done with that, we have to do the internal import. We have to import the files we have created, and this one is coming from the util/API feature. So we're going to create a couple of global function which we're going to use it right in here, like connecting with the contract, all of things. So that's the import we're going to do it. Now let's build the context. So we'll say state context, and in that we'll use this create context. Then we'll say export state context provider. It will take the children. Then we have to simply return it, and in that we have to build the entire logic. First we have to return it, and we'll take this state context dot provider, and we have to simply come and bring it here and provide the children, and here we're going to send the entire value. So let's take a value called const dav name. We'll say GPT membership, and this particular value, the dav value, we have to pass it right up here. Copy and paste here. So that's the general setup we have, and now we have to simply export this context so we can use it in our entire application. We'll say use state context, and we'll say to use context, and we have to simply pass that state context. So that's the general setup we have done. So this is what you have to do. Now we're going to simply build that one. So this is what the setup we have done. Simply come here, go back to the app.js file, and here we have to configure our state. So first we have to simply import the files. We'll say internal import, and we have to import the state. What do we have called? State context provider. Copy that one, paste here, and this one is coming from the /context/index, and now we have to wrap our entire application. So we'll take this fragment, cut, and simply paste here. Then we'll simply come here, close this one, take our provider header, and inside that we have to simply display our icon. We have to provide the icon, and then we have to provide the source of the images, which is coming from assets/image/feb icon.png. So if you come back here in the public, inside the public we have this assets, and here we have the images. Inside that we have all of these images, and that's how you can access your files, your images from the public folder, and that's what we have done here. So we got our fab icon. Now we can simply wrap the entire with our provider. So simply close this one, cut and paste inside this. So this is our provider. Now we have to import all the scripts, all the library we are using for the animation and all of the things. So come here, we have to simply take this script tag and close this one. We have to provide the source, and this is also coming from the asset/javascript/bootstrap bundle.mini.js. So if you come here in the assets, like here you will have the JS folder. Inside that we have all of this library which you have to import, but we're going to import a couple of things. You can see all of the library we have in the compressed format, and that's what we are using. So simply replicate it a couple of times, simply copy and paste a couple of times, and we have to simply import the one I need. So I'm not going to use the all ones. We'll use this swiper bundle mini. Then we'll simply replace this one, and it will be to EOS. This will be to /custom EOS. This will be the home animation, and this will be to our header sticky. And let's change this to the final one will be the script, the final script. Now we can simply remove this extra one. So this is the setup you have to do. Save it, everything's looking fine. Come back to the browser, and if you reload the browser, everything's looking good, no issue we have. So we have done the general setups. Now come here, go back to the index page, and now let's check that whether our context is set up and it's working fine. So here we are in the index page. Now we have to import our context. So here what we can do is, let's come here, let's call it internal import, and we have to say import, copy and paste here, and it's coming from the context/index. Now we have to import the use state, use effect. That looks good. Now we can Come here, we have to simply take the variable. We'll call state management variable because this is coming from the state. We'll take the variable and we have to simply call this use state context, and we have to simply copy and paste here. So we got our variable. Now simply copy and paste here to see everything's working fine. Save it, and here you can see our data is displaying absolutely fine. Let's provide a CSS class. So we have already written the CSS class. What I can do, come back here in the global CSS and let's pick a class from here. So let's copy this one, quite big. Copy the CS icons custom. Come here, let's take a class and assign, save it, and you can see things are looking fine. Means our entire setup is 100% working, and now we can start working and bring all the functionality together. So this looks pretty good. Hope you guys are on the same stage. You guys have not encountered any issue. All the setups, all the function we have written. Now we're going to work on our API feature before we start continuing in our index page. So let's build all the API functions here. So we have to import couple of things. Here we are in the API feature. We have to import the ether package, and we have to import the web3 model. And you have to use the exact version we have used, because if you go with the latest one, the web3 model is depreciated now. So if you use the same version, it will work, but if you use any other version, it's not going to work. So make sure to keep that thing in mind. Then we have to import the our context, means the ABI and the address. So come here in the context, simply copy this and paste here, and we have to get the ABI and paste here. So it looks pretty good. Come here, now we have to build the function check wallet connections. We have to export this. We'll take a check if wallet connected, it will be async functions. So first we'll take this try and catch. We have to console log out the entire error. If anything goes wrong, then we'll take this if statement. We'll look for the window object Ethereum. Okay, we have to look for the Ethereum object in our browser in the window. If it's not there, then we have to throw the error message that install MetaMask, because whenever you use any one of the provider, it will inject the Ethereum object. If there is Ethereum object, then we have to simply console logout. We have to call the method Ethereum request, and we have to request the method. So we'll say method, it's going to be that ET accounts. It will give us all the accounts. So once we have all the accounts, what we can do, we can simply take a variable called first account, and we have to get the very one account, first one, and at the end we have to simply return this particular account. So no matter whenever I call this function, I will have the account of the user. So this is the very first function. Close this one and let's build another function. So this time we're going to say export const, we'll say connect wallet. It will be an async function, and we have to do exactly the same thing. Simply come here, simply grab this portion and paste here, and first we have to take a try and catch block, and then we have to simply copy and paste here, then we have to copy and paste here. So this looks pretty good. And here we have to change the method only. So this time the method we're going to call it to request account, and the reason why we are calling this eth/request account, because this time we're going to call for the address on the base of the click event. So that's why we have to request. So this is the connect wallet function, and the rest would be fine. Now we have to build the function which allows us to fetch our contract. So we'll call fetch contract. We'll say const fetch contract. Inside that we have to pass the information. So let's call this new ether dot contract, and here we have to pass the signer or provider. So here we're going to pass the first address, then the ABI of the contract, and the signer provider. So make sure to follow the exact order, because the order is very important. First address, then ABI, then the signer or provider, means the one who's interacting with your contract. Close this one, and now we have to build the connection. So we'll say connecting contract. So we'll say export const connecting with contract. It's going to be an async function. Inside that we have to take this try and catch, then we have to throw the error message. Then we can come here, we can take this const web3 model. We'll call our package library. Okay, this is the one we have. Then we have to build a connection. So we'll say wait web3 model dot connect. Then we have to build the provider. So with this small, we'll say new ether dot provider dot web3 provider, and then we have to simply pass the connection. Now we can simply take this signer and we'll say provider dot get signer, and this signer we have to simply pass our fetch contract. So we'll say contract, we'll say fetch contract, and then we have to simply pass the signer. So in that way we will identify that who is interacting with our contract, and at the end we have to simply return the entire contract object, and we have the contract. So that's the entire function we have to write here. So this is all we have to do. First we have to import the packages, then we have to import the internal files, address and the ABA, then check, then connect, fetch, and this is the connect. So that's the entire API feature we have in LinkedIn. Close this one, and now we have to simply import those functions here. So we can come here and we have to simply come back here in the API feature and simply copy the function name and import one by one. Then we have the connect wallet, copy and paste here, and then we have the connecting function. So we can come here, what we have called connecting with contract. So simply copy and paste here. So this is the 3 import we have done, all the function we have built in our API feature. Now we're going to simply build the contract function. So we can come here, we'll say state variable, let's define that. So first variable will take this our address. By default it's empty string. Then we'll take this use state, and this will be contract. Membership, it's gonna be an array. Then we'll take this use state and it will be free, and this will keep the track of our free trial. Then we'll take another one, and this will call the user membership, and that we have to store the information about the user. It's gonna be an object. We have this 3 state variable. Now we can come here, let's build the function. First we have to fetch the contract and all the data which is stored in the contract. So we'll call it fetch data. It's gonna be an async function. Inside that we have to take this try and catch. We have to throw the error message if anything goes wrong. Then we can simply come here. First we have to call this function will call every time someone will reload the browser. So first we have to get some information from our local storage, because we're going to store some information in the local storage about the free trial. So we'll say load data from local storage. So first we have to get that. We'll say free trial, we'll say local storage dot get item, and this is the key pair we're going to provide, free trial. So once we have the data, now we have to simply convert the data. So we'll say free dash trial, and we'll simply take this json dot parse, and we have to simply pass the free trial. That looks good, and we have to simply set that to free trial. So that's the data we are getting from the local storage. And now we can simply come here, we'll take the functions and the contract. So we'll say get the contract data. So first we have to simply call the contract, and we have the function here connecting with the contract. Now we have to get the address of the user, and we already have the function. We'll call it connect wallet. Then we'll call this set, and we have to simply set this address of the user to our straight variable. So looks pretty good. Now we have to get the membership. So all the membership the owner of the contract will create, we have to get those information so we can display in our front end, so user can pick the membership. So we can simply come here, let's call the function, and we'll call this an empty array. Now we can say fetch data, and this function will call every time someone will reload the browser. So now let's come here, let's call the function call, let's console log out the entire contract object. And if I come back here in the browser, if I reload that, if you can see the MetaMask popped up, and we can simply pass our address, the password, and here we are connected with this particular account, the localhost. So if you do the inspect element, go to the console, you will find the entire object we got it. This is the entire contract we got it, means all the function and the connecting is working fine. So we have all of this function approved, and this is for the get membership. All we have to do is to pass the ID, and it will give us the information about that particular membership, and that's the function we're going to call it here. So what I will do, I'll simply close this one. Then we'll take a variable called 1 month await contract, and we'll say get. Come here in the contract, and inside that you will find this is the function we have. So get membership, copy that one, and that's what we have to call here. And that we have to simply pass the ID of the membership. So the ID will go from 1 2 3 and so on. So simply replicate this 3 times, because 3 membership I'm going to provide. You can increase as many as you want. This will be for the 6 month, this will be for the 1 year. Let's change it to year. Looks good. And here we can simply pass 1 2 3. So first one is 6, second one is like first one is 1, second one is 6, third one is year. So let's come here. Now what you can do is, for the time being, let's comment this out because we haven't created any membership. So if we call this function, we'll get an error. So let's do one thing. Let's create the function list membership. So we go list membership, and then we're going to create a couple of memberships. After that, we're going to fetch the information. So let's call this listing membership. We'll call const list membership. It's going to be async function. And again, you can create a front end where you can take the information from the user, but generally this function will call by the owner, so I'm not going to build any front end for that. I'm going with the hardcode data. So we'll take a variable called amount 1, then because we are creating the membership for 1 month. Just follow along with me, everything will make sense. This is the amount 1, and then we have to take the membership name. So you can call it 1 year and whatever name you want to get, 1 month, sorry. Then you can take the membership cost. So we're going to charge the 1 ether. So we have to convert that, and we'll say the amount string, and we have to pass this ETH. So that looks pretty fine. That's the first membership we have. And here we have to wait for the transaction to be complete. So we'll take this membership dot data equal to this July 31st 23. So this is the date which we want to provide. So these are the 3 information we are providing: name, cost, and date. And that's what we have. So once we have all of these 3 data, like the name, cost, and the date, then we have to take a variable called contract. We have to get the contract, and we're going to simply get the contract object. When we have the contract object, we'll take a variable called list await contract, and we have to call the function list. And in that we have to simply pass all the data. So we'll pass the name, then the cost, and the date. Make sure to follow the exact order. If you don't match the order, you will get an error. So that's the listing. Now we have to simply wait till the transaction get complete, and after that we have to simply console log out the entire transaction. And that's the only thing we have to do. So all you have to do is to call this function, and you will create a membership. So let's come here in the pages. Inside that index, let's create a button. So we can click and we can call that. So this is the function we have. Simply copy that, and we have to export it. So we can simply export the function, and that it will be available to you in the global object, and simply import the function. So here we have that. Now what I will do is, let's come here. So this is what we have. Simply bring this down and take a p tag. Inside that we can simply cut this one and paste here. Save it. Then we'll take a button, and in that button we're going to simply attach our function. So let's close that button. It will have on click function, and we're going to simply call our list membership function. Listing membership. Save it. Now come back to the browser, and we have this button. Reload the browser and call the function, and if we call the function, this transaction will fail. So if I call this one, okay, I didn't expect that. Okay, this is the error I'm getting. If I click one more time, and this is the error message. So come back here in the context, and I found the issue. So here you can see, here we have this ethers. It's not ethers, it's only ether. Remove this s, and this will fix the issue. So that's the fix you have to do. Now reload the browser and simply call that one. It's going to open the MetaMask. Here you can see, click on that, and you can see the transaction failed because I changed my account in MetaMask. So if you come here, you can see this is the most common error you will get. Click on that. First we have to clear all the history in our MetaMask. So come back here, clear activity data, tab data, and that will fix the issue. Reload the browser, and now you can create a membership. Come back here, click on this list membership, confirm, and here the transaction went through and you can see all the data. So we have created our first memberships. Now I'll simply change this to 3, and this one is for the sixth month, and the date would be the same. So let's call the one more time. So this time we'll create for the 6th month, and here the transaction got completed. Reload the browser and let's create the one more for 1 year, and we want to charge 5, and this one is for year, and save it, and come reload the browser and call the function. Here we have the MetaMask, simply call and confirm, and the transaction went through, and we have created our 3 memberships. So these 3 memberships is done. Now we can simply come here and fetch the informations. Come back in the fetch contract and simply uncomment this one. So simply uncomment, bring it down here, and console log out the entire plan. So we'll take this 1 month, save it, come back to the browser, and you can see we got the information about the membership we have created: 1 month, date, and the price, and the ID. So now we have to get this data and format this data so we can render in our foreign component. So with coming here, we can take a variable. We'll take a contract membership, and it will be an array type because we have to display the 3 membership. Okay, you can take as many as you want. So we'll say membership name, and we have the data in this name. Then we have the membership, this will be the date, and we have the data date. Then we take the membership ID, we'll take the ID, and we have to convert it to a number. Then we have to take the membership cost, and we have to use our ether package to convert that into a readable format. So we'll say format utils, and that we'll pass the amount to a string, and we'll simply say ether. That looks good. So this is what we have in the first, and this is what you have to do. Simply wrap it into an object. So simply cut this one and paste here, and simply replicate it 3 times because we have 3 memberships. Simply copy and paste here 3 times, 1, 2, and simply change this value. So this will be the 6, save it, and this will be the year, not month. Select this one, tab, and turn it to years, and save it, and that will give you the entire data. So simply close this one, cut this and paste here, and simply take this value and paste here. So save it. Now you will have enough formatted data in form of array. So you can see it looks pretty good. If you open that one, the data is in well format, and now we can simply render it. Reload the beta, reload the browser, and it will fix the data. Come here. So we got our membership data. Now we have to get the information about the user. So we can say, so we got the data. Now we have to set this data to our state variable so we can access. So we'll take this set contract memberships, and we have to simply pass that data into an array. In this way, we'll have our data in our state variable. Simply cut this one, and we're going to simply format this, paste here, and format this one. Now we have to get the user information. So we'll take a variable const, and we have to call user membership await. We have the contract on that. We have to call the function. So come back here in the contract. Let's find the name of the function we have, contract. Inside that we have this get user memberships. Copy that one, and that's the one we have to simply call here, and that we have to pass the address of the user. So we'll have the address, account address. We'll take the same logic we have to follow here. So we'll take this user members, and it's going to be a type of object, and we have to simply format. So we'll take this address user, we'll say user membership dot address users to lower case. Simply take this particular data. So let's see, have a look in the entire object we'll get from the function. Come back in the browser, and here you can see we got the entire data. Okay, I'm getting some sort of error message. So this one is maybe something's wrong. Okay, it was, so here you can see we are getting the data about the user, but we have some issue in this lowercase. So let's replicate that couple of times and change this to expire date. Remove this one. This will be the cost, and this will be the membership ID. We have to convert into a number. Now this will be the ID of the user, and we have to say ID, and we have to convert into a number, and we have to convert this ether price into a readable ether price. So we can simply grab this one, close this one, and we can come here and we can simply paste here, and mean that we have to simply replace the value. Simply cut and paste here, and that works absolutely fine. So simply remove this one and paste. Okay, we got it. Now remove this one. It looks pretty good. Now what we can do is simply cut this one, and we can simply come down. It's a member. We can say console.log, and we'll say user membership. So if we save it, and I can notice one thing, that this is called capital M. Same thing we have to do in all the places. Okay, that's the change you have to do, is capital M, and that will fix that error which we were getting. So that will fix the issue, and here you will have the entire data. If you reload, and you can see here we have the entire object. So right now no user have taken any membership, and because of that you can see this 0 0, everything's 0. That looks good. Wonderful. We got the data. Now once we have the data, we have to set this data to our local storage as well as on the state variable. So what I will do here, simply come here, we have to take the state variable, and we have to simply update our object. Once we're done with that, we have to take a variable called pro member, and we have to set this data into our local storage. We'll say user membership, then we take this set item, we have to assign the key pair, which is the user detail, and we have to pass this pro member, and this will fix the data into our local storage. And that's the entire thing you have to do here in the fetch function. Close this one. Looks good. Now if you reload the browser, and if you come back to the applications, check the local storage, you can see this is the data we have stored. Okay, this one is the old data. Simply remove that one and reload the browser one more time, and this time you will find that we have the data. Everything is 0, but whenever the user will take that, it's going to take the information about his membership, and it's going to store in the local storage, so we can build more logic on that. That's wonderful. Looking good. Come back here, and this is the entire function. First we are getting the contract, then we are checking all the membership, then we are setting, and then we are setting on the local storage. So this is the entire fetch function we have, and this function will run every time someone will reload the page. And this is the list membership. Now we have to work on the other function, so we can come here. We'll take this buy memberships, because we have to have a function which user can buy the membership. So we'll take this const, we'll say buy membership, and it's going to be an async function, and that we have to pass the membership ID which user wants to take it. Then we'll take a variable called contract await. We'll say connecting. We have to get the entire contract object, then we have to get the account, connect account. Once we have the contract, once we have the account, then we can set that account to the connected account, and we'll take a try and catch. We have to throw the error message if anything goes wrong, and here we have to build the entire logic. So we're going to do on the base of if else statement. So we have 3 memberships, so we have to check for the condition, and on the base of that we have to set the expiry date, and we have to charge the fund. So we'll say if the membership ID is equal to 1, and then we have to perform these actions. So we'll say const, first we have to get the date, because if it's 1 means the user is taking the membership for 1 month. So first we have to get the current timestamp, okay, current date, and we have to simply, so we have to get the current time. So when you will call this method date.now, it will give you the timestamp in second, and now we have to find out that how many seconds are there in 1 month. So come back to this website, and this is the website I found, you need timestamp. So you can see this is the current today's date at the time I'm recording this video, 8 month date 3. But if I click on this is the 1 month period I'm providing. So I will simply do one thing. If I click on this convert, so this is the future time I got in 1 month in second. So if I copy that one, and if I come here, you can see that here I have opened this like convert second to millisecond, because that's the gap we have to provide. So I'll simply come here, if I paste this, and this is I got in the millisecond, so simply copy that one in the millisecond. And if you come back here, back in this website, and if you paste here, you will see that it's in the future. If you convert, you can see it's a 9 month, means it's in the future, the times say millisecond in the future. So we have to simply subtract this. So what I will do is come back here, so once you do the calculation, this is the exact millisecond you will find in 1 month. So we'll take this date, we'll take this new date, and then that we have to pass this today, and then we have to take this expiry date, and we have to simply convert it. So we'll say date dot to local date string, and we have to pass this, that whatever format that date you want. So we'll go with English US, and we have to take the money which we want to charge. So the money we have to convert it, so we're going to charge 1, and that's what you have to provide. So this is the entire setup you have to do. First you have to get the current time, and you have to add the 1 month time, and that's what I have done. And then we are simply formatting the date and the price. So we can come here, we can take this mint function which is there in our contract, and we have to pass all of the data. We'll say mint transfer transaction, we'll say contract mint, and that we can pass first ID, the second we have to pass the address, third we have to pass the expiry date. So make sure this is the exact order you have to follow, and we have to send the value. So we'll send 1 ether, the money, and we have to convert it into a string. So that looks pretty good. Then we have to simply await, we have to wait for the transaction to be completed, and after that we have to simply store this information into our local storage. We'll call it pro member, and we have to simply call set item. We'll give this pro member set item to set item to free trial, and we'll pass the information free trial, and then we'll simply console log out the entire our taken memberships, and we have this mint transaction. So this is the first, and we can simply reload the browser, location dot reload, and that's the first. So if the ID is 1, means user wants to take for the 1 month. If the ID is 2, user wants to take the membership for the 6 month. And that's the one thing we have to do. We have to simply check this condition, and we are passing all the information, and then we are simply storing 1. These are the simple JavaScript. I hope there's nothing confusing for you guys. Now we have to do the same thing for the 3. So we'll say if else, and inside that we'll take this membership ID, and if it's equal to 2, then we have to perform the exact action. So simply copy this entire code, and you can convert it into a reusable function. It's totally up to you, but I will go like this, paste here, and all you have to do is to change the pricing and the time which you want to provide, and simply multiply by 6. So for the 6 month, so this is the 1 month, and if we multiply for the 6 month, it will become the 6 month. So this is the 6 month membership. Looks good. Now we have to change the price to 3, because that's the amount we want to charge, and the rest would be fine. So simply build the last else statement. We can come here, we'll say else. By default we want to sell the 5-year plan. So simply copy that one, and we can simply paste here, and we'll say 12, and we have to change the price. So we want to charge 5 Metacoin or Ether for this memberships, and that looks pretty good. So that's the only thing we have to do in this buy functions. I know this quite huge, but these are the repetitive code we are writing. You can create a reusable function, it's totally up to you, and again I have covered that tons of times in my other project, so you can check in that all. So this is the buy function, and that looks pretty good. So that's the entire thing you have to do here in the context file, and now we have to send all the value, all the function we have built. So let's send that into our state. So we'll simply send the buy function, then we'll send the free, then we'll send this particular address, and then we'll send the user information, the contract membership, and the user membership. So these are the data we are passing, and it will be available in our global object, so we can access that. So if you come back here and reload the browser, we have no issues. As you all know that I have launched my course. In this course you will learn every single thing which you have to know about the web development, and if you take this course you will be ready for building any type of application, and your transition from the web 2 to web 3 would be very smooth, because we have learned about heavily in the context, so that will teach you a lot. So here we have followed the basic context management, but in that project we have followed the Next.js like Redux toolkit context management. So that will teach you a lot of things, and that's really powerful in the field of development for managing the state. So that looks pretty fine. We have done with this all of this thing: imports, context, global variables, and the 3 function we have built for interacting with the contract. So close this one. And here we have the other function like withdraw, get user membership. So you can simply create and you can get that information in the front end, but I just try to keep it that simple. Here we have the get memberships taken, we have the get memberships, we have called most of the functions. So simply close that one, and this is the things looks pretty good. And come here, close this one, come here, close this one, and here we have that one. So now what we can do is come back here in the public folder. Inside that we have this script, and here we have to build the entire logic for calling our OpenAI and making our AI system. So that's all we're going to do it right here in this script folder. So first we have to get the elements from our HTML. So first we have to get the form, and we'll say document.querySelector, and we'll get the form. Once we get the form, we have to simply get the chat container, and that we have to display the messages, the response, and we'll call this chat container with an ID. Now we have to target one more called the free trial element, and that we have to display the free trial number, and we have to populate the data, and we'll say call free trial. Then we have to target the remove element, because after the free trials over we have to remove that input text so user cannot search. And here we say document.get element by ID, and we have to get the form.inner input data. So we got all the tags, all the HTML which we want to populate the data dynamically. Now we have to take a variable called load internal value, and here we have to build the function. So first function will call this loader, and then we have to simply pass the element which we want to load. So we'll say element, it will take a element dot text context, and we have to say empty string. Then we have to call this load internal, and we have to call this set interval, and here we have to provide the callback function. So we'll say element dot text content, and we have to concatenate. Then we have to check for the if condition. So we'll say if element dot text content equal to 3 dots, that means element dot text contents will have this empty string. So that's the check we are doing, and we want to run this particular set interval like 300 milliseconds. So this is the very first function we have. This will basically load an element whether we are getting the data or whether we haven't got the data. So it will look for the response which we'll get from the OpenAI. So that's the first function we have. Now we have to work on the second function, and this function we'll call it, let's say type text, and it will take the element, it will take the text. We'll say let index 0, and we'll say let internal value, we'll say set interval, and then we have to provide the callback function. So we'll say if index less than the text dot length, then we have to take the element, and we have to say inner HTML equal to text dot cart, and then we have to simply pass the index. We'll say index plus plus, because this will increase the index, else we have to simply clear the interval. So we'll pass this interval. So this is the very simple function. Again, I'm not going into detail because these are the simple JavaScript, and I believe that you guys are familiar with the JavaScript, so I'm just using it. and we want to run this particular in every 20 milliseconds. So this is the second function for typing. So this will type the text. Now we have to come here, we have to take a function called generate unique ID for every single request user will make, so we can display. So we'll take a variable called const time stamp, we'll take the date dot now, then we'll take a variable called random number, we'll take the math dot random, then we'll take this const hexa decimal string equal to the random number to string, and we'll pass this 16 decimal. Then we'll simply return this particular ID. So we'll have this timestamp and we'll type this hexadecimal string. So this is what we want to return from this function, and it will generate the unique ID which we can assign to the element as a form of response. So that's the entire function. Now we have to build the main function. We'll call it function cart. In that we have to simply pass the is AI and value unique ID, because this time we're going to simply put this into our HTML document. So first we'll take this return, and here we have to build the HTML document. We'll take a div and it will have a class. So the class I want to assign this to class called wrap chat. Inside the chat we have to take a div, it will have a class called wrap profile. Inside that we have to take our image, we have to provide the source. So this image is coming from our public folder. If AI is responding, then this, otherwise we have to display the user, and we have to assign the alt text, and we'll say is AI, then we have to say bot, otherwise the user. Simple. Come here, we have to display the div, so simply close that one, and here we have to assign the class. So we'll say the message class, we'll assign the ID which we are getting from this unique ID, and then we have to simply display the message, the value. So this will render the response we are getting from the AI and feed in our HTML document. So that's the only thing we have to do here in the cart stripe. Let's wrap this entire div into a wrapper function, so wrapper class. So take a class called wrapper, cut here and paste here. So that's the entire HTML, dynamic HTML we have. Now we have to work on the actual function which allow us to make and send a response and receive the response. So we'll call this export const handle submit. It will take a couple of things. It will take this event. We have to prevent the default behavior, because the data will come in the form of form. The data will come from form, so we have to prevent the default behavior. Then we'll say const data new form data, and we'll pass the form. We'll take this chat container, we have to take this inner HTML, and we have to simply pass this chat stripe and pass all the data. False data get prompt. Then we'll take the form and we have to simply call reset. So that's the thing we have to do, basic functions. First we are getting the data from the form, then we are simply setting into our container, and we have already built this HTML for functions. We are feeding the data. Looks good. Now we can come here, we'll take this unique ID and we're going to simply call our function. It will give us the unique ID. Now we'll take this chat container dot inner HTML. We have to simply call the cart stripe and pass the information. We have to pass it true, then we'll pass the data is an empty, and we have to pass the ID. Then we'll take this message variable, message div, and then we'll take a document dot get element by ID, and we have to get the ID, and this ID will be populated dynamically. So when come here, we have to call this loader, and we have to simply pass the message div. Then we'll take the response, we'll say const response await, and we'll call this fetch method, and this is the backend code. So this is our backend API code, sorry, router. On that we're going to make a call. So it's going to be a 4000, and it's going to take the method. So again, this methods which I'm going to write it down here, it's coming from the documentation. I'm not building anything from my side. So first we have to make a post request, then we have to take the header, Inside that header we have to simply provide that content type, and it's going to be the application slash JSON. Then we have to type the body, so the message we have to send in stringify, and the data will come in the form of, let's say, prompt, and the data we have in this get, and we'll pass the prompt. So this is the data we are sending in the body, and that's the response. Now we can take this clear interval and we'll pass the loader interval, so that will load our data. Now we have to take the message div and we have to feed that. So we'll take this inner HTML and we'll provide this space. We'll take this if response is okay, then we have to perform and we have to render the component. So first we have to take this state await response.json. Once we have the data, then we can simply call this parse data dot bot trim. Then we'll take the type text function and we have to simply pass that, and it will be trigger our message and it will display in the front end. So that looks pretty good. Now we have to fetch the information from our local storage to check the value as a free trial as a pro member. So that's what we're going to do next. So first we'll take a variable called free trial, and we have to get the information from the local storage. Get item, and this is the key pair we have assigned, free trial. Then we have to simply take this free trial and we have to simply pass. We'll pass the free trial. Now we have to build the if else statement. So we'll say if free trial equal to 1, then we'll say that const free trial, we'll say json.stringify 2, and we'll have to set that into a local storage. We'll give the key pair and we'll set the value, and then we have to simply update the data in the front end too. So that's the first if else statement. Now else, simply get this one and simply get this one and paste here. If it's 2, then we'll say 3 copy, but if it's 3, then we'll say 4, and this will be 4, copy paste. If it's 4, then it will be 5, then simply copy paste, and if it's 5, then we want to simply remove this one. So come here, remove this one in the 5, and we have to simply console log out something. We'll say console.log, and you can display pro membership, means it's expired, like you have done the free trials. So now what I have to do is, here I can come and I have to remove the search input field. So simply say remove element, and we have to call this remove function, so it will remove the search input, so the user cannot search after the free trial. So that looks pretty good, and by default we can go with this. So we'll say copy this one and paste here. So it will start from 1 and it will go 1. So generally it will start from 0. When the user will make a first request, it will increase 1, and that's the entire if else statement we have written just for updating our local storage. Looks pretty good. And else we have to simply catch if anything goes wrong. So we'll say error await response dot text, and we have to simply feed the data into our HTML. So we'll say like something went very wrong, reload the page, and that's the message we want to display, or you can display the entire alert message. So let's display that as well. Save it. So that looks pretty good. That's the entire function we have. So this is for handle submit. We are getting the data, building a unique ID, making a call to API, and then we are storing the data in the local storage based on the free trial. Looks good. Close this one, close this entire function, and now we have to simply call the function, and we have to attach the function on enter. So when he will enter the mouse, so we'll say argument listener, we'll call for submit, and we have to call the function. In that we have to pass the event. Then we'll call this add event listener. We are looking for the key up, and we'll say event, we'll say if e.key code equal to 13, means we have to call this function. We'll pass the event, and that's the only thing we have to do here in this script, where we have built the entire logic for making our calls. You can see type text generate unique ID, we have the cart stripe, then we have this entire handle function. Amazing. And this is the event we have attached. So that's the only thing you have to do here. Close this one and looks pretty good. So we have done with that. Now we have to work on our server. So click on this, and now we have to build our server. So we have to import a couple of things. So we have to import the express, and we have to import our cross, and we have already installed all the packages. So we have this two packages. Now we have to import our, and this will come from OpenAI. So we need the configuration and the OpenAI. So these are the input we are taking. Now we have to simply take the variable. We'll say configure, and that we have to pass the new configuration, and that we have to simply pass our API key. So let's build that. I will show you that how you can get your API key. So this is the configuration we have done. Now we'll take a variable called OpenAI, and we have to pass this configuration in our OpenAI. So that's the setup we have done. Now come here, we have to take a variable called app and call our express. Then we'll take this app use, and that we have to pass this cross, so we can make our API can be called from different domain. Then we'll take this app.use. We have to call this express.json, and if you don't use this express.json, then you cannot able to send the data in the API. So this is the JSON format you have to define. Then we'll call this app.get, and this is the get method we are building. So this is the router we have, request, response, and we have covered this tons of time in our like NFT project. So let's send the response. So like it will say message, we'll say hey Daulat, let's say Daulat Hussain, welcome to ChatGPT. So this is just an optional one. Now let's build the actual one for making a post request. So we'll say app.post. We're gonna do on the same route. We'll take the async function. It will take the request and response, and here we have to build a quite huge function. So first we have to take this const. First we have to get the data from the body. So we'll say prompt request.body.prompt. So whatever request user will make, that's what we have to get. So once we have the prompt, now we have to take this response, await, and we'll call this OpenAI, create completion, and in that we have to set the entire object. And again, whatever object I'm going to highlight, that's all I'm getting from the documentation. So first we have to set the model, because currently there is a different types of models we have, which you can use as a OpenAI. But this is the model which I'm using, and this one is for all the dimensions like text, personal device, coding. So this is the model I'm using. Now we have to define the prompt, which we are getting from the body. Now we have to define the temperature 0. Then we have to define the max token to 3000. We'll take this top p 1. We'll take the frequent plenty 0.5 and present penalty 0. So this is the entire object you have to set, and again everything is mentioned in the documentation, which you guys can follow. So once we have passed this one, now we have to look for the response. We'll say response.status. We have to say 200 for OK, and in that we have to send the entire information. So we'll take this bot, we'll say response.data.choice 0, and we'll say text, and that's the response we have to send to our element. Now we can come here, and that looks pretty good. So here we have the response. Now let's wrap this entire and try catch, so we can find out if anything goes wrong. So we'll take a try and catch, cut this one, and simply paste here and save it. Here we have to simply console log out the entire error, and we can also send a response. So we'll take this 500, and in that we can simply send the error, and it will say something went wrong, very wrong. So that's the entire thing, and now we have to listen for the app. So we'll take app.listen, and we want to run this on port 4000, because that's what we have used in our front end in the API request. So we can simply pass this particular information. App API server started on port, and this is the port which we have constructed, localhost 4000. Save it. But if you come back here in the script, that's the port we have used here. So make sure to give the exact port in the front end as well as in the back end, otherwise it will not work. So this is the entire piece of code you have to write, and now you have to get your API key, and that's the only thing you have to do here. Everything's looking pretty good. I hope you guys have done exactly the same thing which I have done here. So this looks pretty awesome. Now we have to get the API key. So if I start the application, you can see, let's go into the server folder and let's start the backend. So this is the command we have to write: npm run server, and this will start our application. You can see it started on 4000. If you come here, this is the 3000. If you change this to 4 and hit enter, you can see this is the response we got: hi Dalit Hussain, welcome to ChatGPT. So this looks pretty good, means our backend server is running. Close this one. Now we have to get our OpenAI key. So come here, type OpenAI, click on the very first link, and you can create your account, or if you have already your account, then click on this login and you will come to this page. They provide multiple options, but we are looking for an API. Click on that, and here you can able to find all the models, all the AI models they have: image generator, text to speech, everything you can find here. So the one we are looking for, the API key, click on this view API key, and here you will find that I'm already created a lot of API key. So that's all information you will find here. Come here in the settings. Here you will find all the use case. So right now you can see that I created this particular account in the month of Jan, and this particular account got expired because it will give you $18 as a free trial. But right now in the month of August, if you create your account in OpenAI, it will give you only $5 credit, and that is sufficient for testing your API. Okay, so make sure to come and create your account. It will give you the $5 credit, and if it not give you the $5 credit, make sure to change your IP address, because once you create an account and once you try to create a new account with the same IP address, it's not going to work, because this is what I have encountered. So let's come back here in the rate limit. Here you can able to find, so these are the all models we have. You can use any model. If I come here, if I go to the service, not the server one, I have to go into the backend. So come back here in the backend, and here we have this one. So right now I'm using this particular model, but you can use any model. They have the huge list. You can check from your end whether you want to use for the chat, image, all. That's all you can find. And here we have the billing. If you want to upgrade, you can do that definitely. So once you do all the things, make sure to come here and create your secret key. Click on that and give a name, whatever you want. I'll call it API GPT. Click on generate, and this is the key you will get. So copy, and that's what you have to pass here. Again, this key will not work because my account is got expired. So I'm going to paste the valid API key which I got it because I have upgraded my account from the different one. So finally I have updated my API key, and I'm using my pro member account. So I bought the API key for $20 a month, and that's what I'm using. But if you create your account for the very first time, it will give you the $5 credit, and that is enough for you. So make sure to paste your API key. Here you can see, if I clear the terminal and close that one, so that's the only thing we have to do. Every single things we have done, it's looking absolutely fine. So this is the entire context, this is the entire index file. We have built all the logics, looks good. Then we have the entire contract we have written. You can see this is the huge line of code we have written. Now if we come back to the script, this is the script we have written for the deploy, and we have tested as well. Then we have the server. This is the entire server we have built. And what else we have missed? So we have the API feature. Looks good, and that's looking absolutely perfect. So if you come back here in the chat, in the next video we're going to start working on our chat page. So first we'll start work on the chat page, bring all the functionality. After that we're going to move on our like login or landing page. So right now we have all of this component. First we'll start working on the chat components, and that's what we're going to start in the next video. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have understood every single thing and followed the complete from start to end, and gave you the broader sense that what we are building and how we had done the entire setup. And the next video we're going to start working on our chat page. So don't forget to watch that. Let's move to that.